A lot of times these Christians who are indoctrinated, they're really believing, bro, you in a bad place. I got what you need and I'm going to push it on you. Rude as hell. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be firm with them. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like Cat Williams say, when Diddy want to party, you got to tell them no. When these Christians want to pray for you, you got to tell them no. What's up, family? Welcome back to OGs Uncut, Conversations on the Culture. It's me, your host, Priest. Shout out to T-Rex, my co-host. He's not here today. In fact, I just want to inform everybody who rock with us and who watch us that we've been a little bit off schedule a little bit, but it's because we had a family tragedy. My co-host lost his eldest son recently in a tragic car accident. So I want to give some acknowledgement to that. Prayers up for our family, for our co-host T-Rex, and for our little cousin Nehemiah who's passed, man. Fly high. We love you. We sorry that this happened. It's still surreal. I don't even know if it settled in for me yet, man. But if you're watching this, we appreciate your thoughts and prayers. And it's a perfect segue today because I want to talk about prayer. And where that energy is coming from. Now, our topics usually come from someplace real because, we deal with real life. And the entertainment is cool and all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But, we got real life down here happening. And I was at Target the other day, right? I was dropping my youngest son off to school. We had to stop in and get him like a binder for one of his classes. And I ran into a girl that I used to go to church with back when I was a Christian. Now we talking this 2026, so we talking at least 10 plus years ago. Man, time fly. And I seen her, I'm like, hey, what's up? What's up? We hug it out. I'm in line, we chopping it up and we catching up. And she was like, she started talking about the last common place that, we knew each other. She was like, you been back to the so-and-so church? I was like, nah, I don't go to church no more. She was like, I don't go there either. But she was like, you don't go to church no more? And I was like, nah. She said, why? I said, well, I don't believe that no more. She was like, oh my God, you was like about to be a pastor. I said, yeah, I know. She was like, what happened? Because you got to understand, she's trying to reconcile who the hell this nigga is in front of her. She seen me in church, come in church, kind of start working, start serving. Next thing you know, I'm behind the pulpit, people calling me minister. I'm looking like pastor material, which I've been in all these churches I've been in over the years. So I go from that to a guy standing in front of her, same guy, but I'm presenting differently. I got my shades on, earrings, some Timbs. She don't know that side of me. And then not only that, but I'm saying I don't believe no more. Like, I don't believe in church. So she trying to, her mind, this is what I see in her eyes. Her mind is going crazy trying to put it together. And I'm seeing her struggle and I'm trying to help her a little bit. But I know two things. You ain't going to get it in a 10-minute conversation. That's one. The other thing, she still believes the way that I used to believe. So I already know what she's thinking. Now, some people may feel like that's arrogant, but it's not. It's because I know the Bible and I know that the whole purpose of the Bible is to tell you how to think. That's what indoctrination is. Like, it's a set of guidelines, regulations, principles that guide the way you look at reality and the way you lead your life. That's what it is. And I know the Bible. So I'm already knowing the questions that she's bringing. I'm already knowing, like, for example, if you leave Jesus, if you like, I don't believe no more, and then you tell that to somebody who know you used to believe, it ain't nothing good that they think comes out of that. It don't matter how good you paint the picture. They still looking they can't help but look for there's a negative in there somewhere. Something's got to be wrong because Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And if you left that, you got to be in the dark. So it really don't matter what you're saying. They're trying to look between the lines and find what's wrong. Where is it off at? And so that's what I was getting with her. That's the experience I was having. But long story short, when we are parting ways, because I got to go, I'm like, yeah, I got to take my little man to school. She's like, I'm going to pray for you. And I like, no, you ain't. And she laughed. She's like, no, I'm going to pray. I don't want your prayer. You know? And she was like, Bruce, you crazy. I was like, hey, nah, I don't want your prayer because you can't see who I am now. You in the dark about who I am. How you going to pray concerning what matters to me? And that's really what I want to talk about. All prayer ain't good prayer, you know. But before we even go there, somebody might be asking if I don't believe in God no more, I don't believe in Jesus. I believe in the Creator. I just don't believe in the religious definition of it. But some people might be asking, well, why you care about prayer anyway? I'll admit, I'm not a Bible believer. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't even need the word God, but I do believe in a higher power. And I had to ask myself, well, what's the relevance of prayer in my life now then that I'm not a believer? And I had to think about that. Here's how I look at it. Black people, we seem to be naturally spiritual, whether we in church or not. You know, my homeboys who aren't in church still say, God put this on my heart, or God this and that. But they ain't in church. They're everywhere but church. But it's a part of us that we reserve for the idea that there's a higher power. And I believe where that comes from is that we respect reality. We respect nature and we trust our five senses. And as Black people, when we go outside, we don't need a book to tell us that something is greater than us. We live inside an environment that sustains us, gives us life, and feeds us. That alone warrants us paying homage to the environment in some way. You dig what I'm saying? We understand that the environment is greater than we are. We just happen to be at the top of the food chain with being able to be creative with the things we could do with the environment. And I think that that connection we have to that respect, that Earth in a lot of ways, the universe is a mother to us. It sustains us in the same way that a mother's breast and milk sustains the life of her infant child. So we understand that. And I believe that because of that understanding, without religion, without indoctrination, when we meet challenges, our spirit reaches out to whatever the creative power is behind all of that order that we see. And we respect that. And we believe that, and I'll say I believe that just the way people are able to communicate to each other verbally, non-verbally, through signals, cues, through touch, all these different ways that we're able to communicate, I believe that the universe communicates too. Think about what nature can do, man. Think about when a storm is on the way, what birds do. You know, there's radar footage of like a storm on the way, and then you will see a mass movement being detected by the radar. And what it is a big flock of birds displacing from that environment. Why? Because they're indicators in the atmosphere that communicate to the animals that something catastrophic is on the way. Real faint signals that even before we know, they picking that up and they making a move. That's communication. That is nature showing that there's a communication system embedded. And that's just a basic observable level. And I believe like there's something about Black people that we just believe that we can communicate directly with whatever created all of this, whether it's through thought, whether it's through emotion, whether it's through pain, whether it's through joy, whether it's through words, whether it's through prayer, that there's a relationship between us and the Creator. And I think that that's a sacred place in us that religion exploits. You know, religion tries to take that and put it inside a box and say that you can only do it this way or that way. But for us, man, we believe that this environment is all connected. And it makes sense, man. Look at the seasons, the ecosystem, and how when the seasons change and the plants need pollen, the bees just happen to go in some place and then go to the plants, and they're putting tiny micro deposits of pollen on the plants. Plants happen to need that to bloom and provide something else to something else in the environment. It's a beautiful orchestration that's happening right beneath our eyes. And I believe that we're connected to that. And I think that that idea, that realm right there of communication is where we pull the idea of prayer from. I think religion tries to take it and put it in a strict little box. And that box may say something like, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. All of this stuff, right? Where kingdom come from in all of this? You know what I'm saying? Like, in what I described in nature, where the kingdom at? You dig what I'm saying? You can see that there is a psychological imprint of people on that prayer model. So the kind of prayer that we feel and we organically do is deeper, it's beneath that. We really don't need that. We've been indoctrinated into that. And now we squeeze ourselves into that box and say, this is what prayer is. So that's a long way of saying that even though I'm not a believer anymore, I still got respect for the universe. I believe it matters what you say about yourself, the energy that you put out about yourself. I believe that the universe responds to that. I believe that the universe takes that frequency and does something with it. And somewhere down the line, you receive that back, right? And I also believe that when other people join in that frequency, it amplifies its potency, its power, and it brings it back. So that's how I see prayer. So when somebody like old girl is telling me, I'm going to pray for you, I'm like, oh, hell nah. It's enough going on in life. It's enough, especially in America, challenging us as individuals and collective as far as what we're trying to do. I don't need another individual who's setting their mind and their intentions to tear down where I'm going because they don't understand it and because they see it differently, because they've been indoctrinated to believe something that makes them feel what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I'm saying is bad. How can you pray for me? I'm going to reject you every time, even if I got to be rude. And most of the time I am, because a lot of times these Christians who are indoctrinated, they're really believing, bro, you in a bad place. I got what you need and I'm going to push it on you. Rude as hell. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be firm with them. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like Cat Williams say, when Diddy want to party, you got to tell him no. When these Christians want to pray for you, you got to tell them no, because they got something completely different in mind. They want to enslave you spiritually. They like, hold on, bro. You all out there in the world, you doing all of this, whatever you want. Bro, you got to come back over here under lock and chain. I don't need that energy. I told old girl, listen, if you pray for me, you might as well be throwing that shit at the ceiling and watching it fall down. I reject that. And I believe the reason it matters is because I do believe that what you and others agree about yourself and you put out in the universe has an effect somehow, some way. I reserve a place, a sacred place for that. You can't be somebody who don't understand my journey and don't understand where I'm going. I'm going to tell you, hell nah, don't pray for me. I ain't in agreement with that. I don't care how you take it, you know. And if somebody insists on praying for me, I tell them how to pray for me. And I'm going to throw y'all this bone. You can't go wrong with this prayer right here, man. I love it. Here it is, the book of 3 John, It's only one chapter. 3 John verse 2. It says, beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. Come on now. Say that to me. Nothing else. I don't need none of that other stuff that you thinking is good on my behalf. Scratch all of that. Say that right there. I wish that above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prosper. That covers everything. Everything. It don't matter what your religion is. It don't matter if you Christian, Muslim, atheist, a satanic worshiper. Give me that energy all day. I receive it. You know what I'm saying? It's like your highest wish for me is that I prosper. Come on, man. Is that I go up and that I be in good health, even as my soul prospers. So that it's like that covers your physical, your mental health, your financial success, and that you evolve as a human being. Like, say that to me. Say that in your prayer closet. I don't need none of that other stuff. Oh Lord. You know, I had people come in my, I had this chick. She was cool as hell when we was in church. Her and her husband are pastors of their own church now. Down to earth. You know, we done been to late night churches, went out to eat with our families at IHOP, laughed and all of this stuff, chill, went bowling. They know me. They know a nigga, you know, that I was real with it. But what gets me is that now that I'm like, nah, I done looked into some stuff and I believe differently now. It's like they never knew the cat that you spent that time with, and you just think that I don't know what you think it is, but she all in my inbox, right? And T-Rex thinks she's sweet on me. You know, maybe that's some truth to it. I don't know, but she all up in my inbox and she talking about, Bruce, I remember you were so sincere. What happened? You see that right there? And they don't be catching them little things that they say, like, what you mean, what happened? That's telling you where their mind is when they look at you. It's telling you they feel like you're in a bad place. So if they're going to pray for you, what they going to pray? To change the direction that you're going. So it's already against what you're doing for yourself and what you see for yourself. You see, that's why I'd be like, don't pray for me, because you can't see me. And even if I try to help you see me, you blind. You like, nah, it can't be good. Bro ain't with Jesus. He in a bad place. I don't care how much he's smiling. They are the most creative people ever with putting a negative interpretation on everything that's good in your life because you no longer believe. That's why I'm saying, if you believe in prayer, don't have these Christians praying for you like that, especially if you're not a believer or if you left Christianity, because you don't want nobody putting that, you know, that energy that go against you. And cuz say it like this. T-Rex said, it's like you applying for a job and, you know, you put bad references on your damn resume. You know, they call them and they ain't got nothing good to say about you. Who doing that? Why do I want you talking about me when you ain't got nothing good to say about me? And it's not because anything you got to say is true. It's because you don't understand who I am. So it's the same thing. I thought that was a good analogy that he used. But yeah, man, I mean, prayer. And here's something else I say. I'm going to close this out soon because we ain't got to make this long. But I put this video on Instagram not long ago. I'm going to tell you, you know, when I first was a Christian, this might sound weird to some of y'all, but some of y'all who be in church, you understand this. When you're a Christian, you're praying and you're trying to understand God. See, a lot of y'all is casual Christians. Your grandma was a Christian, your auntie, my homeboy Terrence, rest in peace, love your boy. His family, that's the church I got saved in. They was deep in Christianity. Him, casual. You know, he in the church, he's slipping in some hip hop when he playing the keyboard. We just trying to get up out of there and go do what we do, get his mom a car. So he's a good example of somebody whose family was deep, but, you know, he had enough of his foot in there just to make them happy. A lot of people are like that. And I'll be honest, that's the best place to be, because once you get like the rest of his family was, and like I became, you under the influence at that point and you start thinking differently. So when you deepen under the influence, you are really trying to pursue God. And that's what I was doing, because I was leaving a lifestyle that I knew was going to put me in a bad place. And I thought church was a way to do that. So I was really excited about learning who God was. So I was really reading my Bible all the time. I found out I had a skill to teach, and I felt like this was God calling me. Started doing that. I'm spending a lot of my personal time reading and praying, and I'm being told by these elders that God speaks to them. God speaks to you when you got this personal relationship. And I'm trying to find out about this. So I'm praying and I'm listening, but I ain't hearing nothing. And when I do hear something, it's my own damn voice. So I'm confused about what it means to hear from God. And a lot of Christians are just that, because religion, it don't matter how hard you believe in it. And I'm not knocking nobody, y'all. Like, if you believe, I'm not telling you to stop believing. I'm just talking from my experience, right? And what I believe is in my book. I wrote a book on my, how I see it and what I believe is doing to us. It's in my book. You can get it on Amazon, Life After Religion, My Journey into History and Healing. But when you are in religion, it's really dimming your signal, your connection to the Creator. That's what I found out, because when I left it, I feel like I recovered everything that I thought I would be getting when I was in Christianity. My creativity, even my swag was different in church. The way I talked, the way I showed up, everything was different. But now, as you heard, I still believe in prayer. But when I think about hearing from God now, it's so much more clear to me, because I'm not struggling for this voice, this kind of idea that the Bible give you, like Moses went on top of the mountain and God spoke to him and gave him all of that. The shit don't work like that. It's like a relationship that you have to your environment, because you understand that there's an intelligent power behind the laws and principles that govern the universe. You don't have to say it like I just said it, but there's an innate understanding that that is what's going on. And because that's the truth, when you live authentically and your life is going in this direction or that direction, the environment has a particular relationship with you. It don't matter where you are. It could be what you're watching on TV, YouTube, what your kids say, what your wife say, what your homeboys say. Something can slip through all of those courses of events that communicate a message to you. Now, if you run and go tell that to somebody else, they're going to be like, okay, nigga, and? Because it's not for them. It's for you. It fits in the context of your life. It's a confirmation of where you're going or what you're doing or what you shouldn't be doing. The universe is using the environment to bring you these small cues that only are apparent to you. When you tune into those, they're very clear to you. You don't need no other interpretation. You don't need no Jesus in between. And this is no disrespect for those who feel disrespected, but you don't need that. You get it. Somebody came and said this random thing to me, and it factors in to your life and your situation in a way that nobody else is going to get. This is what it's like to hear from God. And sometimes you need those. Sometimes you need to collect those, because you may be in a transition in your life or in a time in your life where whatever you're hoping or pursuing is not it's not happening the way you envision it just yet, but you are firm about where you're going. You believe, you know. So these little cues that the environment is sending you, that God is like sending you, collect those, because those become your points of reference when your environment is not yet caught up to what you already know here. See, in Christianity, they call that faith. when you don't depend on religion, you can call it whatever the hell you want to. But the experience is the experience. It's a very personal experience. It belongs to you. Um, you don't need a name for it. You can choose a name for it if you like. You don't need a name for the way you refer to God. You can choose one if you'd like. In fact, me and my cousin talk about this, and we believe that the name of God for you, or the creator for you, is seasonal. And when you look in the Bible, even the same idea is in the Bible. Like, there's different names for God. Jehovah Jireh, my provider. Jehovah Nissi means this. Jehovah whatever. Whoever wrote that is pulling that idea from whoever was spiritually wise at that time, because that's more closer to what your experience is. Like, whatever you are, whatever phase of life you're in, the universe is communicating from that vantage point to you. But it's to you. And you don't need to be a spiritual person to hear that. You dig what I'm saying? You don't need to be in the church. You don't need to use spiritual language. You don't need to have a spiritual explanation. You don't need any of that. It's just the way your life synchronizes is going to deliver that to you, period. And that's what that is. I just happen to be a spiritually oriented guy. I just happen to have a philosophical way of approaching life, because I have a skill set to teach and make these things clear for other people, just like I'm doing now, just like I do in books. It's what I do. But it don't mean you got to do that to have your relationship with the creator. You dig what I'm saying? I'm going to drop that off. We approach it in about 30 minutes here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. But this was about prayer, and ultimately your connection to the creator, that you already have one. You don't need a book that instructs you how to plug back into something that you already connected to, right? We don't need that. Religion actually separates you not only from your authentic self, but from the creator and the environment, which is the universe that the creator gave you in order to communicate, right? Religion actually separates you from that. It can give you some tools. I won't get into all of that. I got a website. If you want to holler at me, it's my website is www.thevpstudio.com. I do all kind of stuff. I help people become more effective communicators. I got a particular way that I do that. Leadership, things of that nature. You can hit me up through that, or if you want me to come to speak at your event, I do all of that stuff. Everything's on my website there. But we're gonna land it there so we don't get too deep with it. But I hope something you heard resonated with you. I hope that you feel more confident that you can still be connected to the creator, or to God, if you like to call it God, and not feel guilty about that because you're not going to church or because you're not invoking the name of Jesus. And if you want a specific path on that, get my book, Life After Religion, My Journey into History and Healing. The last chapter, Life After Religion, I lay out a 7 spiritual pillars. I used to use these and still use them when I came out of religion. You don't have to believe in something if you don't want to. You can know. You can become acquainted with your reality and have your relationship with God that way. But I break it down that if you put your focus in these areas, you'll be good. Not only will you be good, but you'll keep becoming better. And really, that's what it's all about in this life. So again, we appreciate y'all viewership. Again, please, thoughts and prayers to our family. Rest in peace to my cousin Nehemiah. We love you. And, for those who are watching, like, subscribe, share, get in the comments and let's talk. I mean, even if you disagree with me, I invite that. I mean, let's have a conversation. Everybody ain't got to see stuff the same way. I invite it. If you disagree, come on, let's chop it up. Let's see what the deal is. Let's see where we at. And that's it. So as we always say, don't you watch and hide now. Like and subscribe. Until next time, we out. Peace.